Hi, Eugene. It's so good to
I'm
see
good.
you.
Good to see you too.
Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, my name is Eugene Awimbo. I'm 35 years old. I build rockets as a hobby, and I also build toys, which I also build myself. I pretty much build everything from scratch: toys, rockets, and I sell some to my customers who use some of them as decorations in their offices or in the house. And I also sell for schools. I also do other part-time jobs, not only selling toys. So that's pretty much about me.
How long have you been doing this?
For about 10 years now. Yeah.
What got you started?
Say again?
How did you get started?
I think I was inspired by a lot of books, many different books from the libraries, from friends. And my father also bought a lot of books. We had a lot of books in the house, science books. And I used to see a lot of machines especially the ones that were used in the Second World War. The vintage machines were really inspiring to me. Not that I don't like the modern machines, but I also do like modern machines. But I got started by building toys from cardboard, and they were really nice. People used to buy them when everybody had money. Here, the money situation is usually up and down. So when there's good economy going around, the sales of my toys are also good. But generally, I just like machines in general. I not only build them to sell them, I build them also to have them in my just around me, and I give some out for free to the kids to play with, and whoever is interested in taking them.
That's amazing. What's your first rocket that you built?
The rocket I'm currently building.
Well, what was the first one that you did 10 years ago when you got started?
Yeah, you want to know a little bit about the rocket I built first? Well, I think I don't exactly remember which one I built first. I must have built a lot. Some worked, some didn't. But the one that I would say worked only went about 200 meters high. And I used a black powder propellant. It went about 200 meters high, and it was taken by the authorities because they thought probably I was working on a projectile. So it was a good one, but it was taken. And since then, I've been able to convince the authorities that I'm not building missiles. I'm not having any bad intention. So from there, I've been building small rockets. Some are about a meter tall. Some are more than a meter tall. And I use different types of propulsion systems from pressured water power. I usually go about mixing water with soap or salt to increase density in case I'm working on a water-powered rocket. And when I go to schools, pretty much that's what I do. I build rockets from scratch with the students, and I go through them you'll excuse me. I think there's a. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the types of rockets I built both chemical and water powered. And basically, water powered rockets I do build when I'm going to teach school children how to build rockets, just the basics. And now we build together from scratch up until the point where we are going to launch the water powered rockets. But the chemical rockets, I do it once in a while because here there's no well-established follow-up on what kind of rockets people build as it is out there. Out there, I see there are certificates being issued after one person has performed well in a rocket building task, and it goes on and on, isn't it? But here, there's no rocket hobby activities. So there's no regulation of rocket building whatsoever. So I just build anyhow. And if I launch one, if it works, I'm happy. If it doesn't work, I improve on it. So it's only lately that I started building a very serious rocket because now I want to take it serious. So I see if it can actually do something around here, maybe inspire this generation to take it seriously. Because if you look at the institutions here, mostly if they are working on it, anything that flies is just aircraft. So I thought maybe because I've done some extensive studies up to some point, I can be able to maybe give it a try on a big rocket.
I don't think we mentioned where you live.
Say again?
I said I don't think we talked about where you live. What country are you in?
I'm in Kenya. I live around in the outskirts of Kenyan capital, Nairobi.
And whenever you go to the schools and talk to them about what you've done and show them the rockets, what's the reaction you get?
The reaction is always very positive, and it's something they've never seen before. And if let's say I divide the students into groups, and one group actually gets to build a simple rocket from scratch that launches very well, there's always a very, very huge excitement. There's a point where some students even carry me, like just toss me up, carry me during celebrations. It's really exciting.
It seems like it seems like they if you started a rocket club, you have a lot of members automatically join. Maybe if you started some type of organization.
No, not yet. I've not actually. That is in my plans to start a rocket club. I mean, here things are moving quite slow, and you need some sort of certification from the authorities to start a rocket club. And recently, I've been able to make some headways. I've gotten a permit to show a big rocket in the public, so people can just come and maybe ask me questions. And when it comes to school learning activities, where we build rockets with cardboard from scratch up until the launch, that is not very much hindered by the authorities. So from there, I was looking to start maybe a rocket club within schools, because that's where learning activities are going on. And maybe from there, we can spread outside from the confines of learning institutions. Yeah.
Are people generally excited about space and space exploration, or what about the rockets really excites them? Gets them interested.
If I can say as a start, people, the space exploration, I could only talk about rocketry. I think when people come and see the rockets I build, because I don't know how, if I'm not very sure if they watch a lot of it on TVs or read more about them. And it's good that I'm just starting to bring this into their knowledge. So when I talk about rocketry, I usually get a response of a few people who have gone to maybe look more into rocketry online. And the response, although few, but it's really positive. There are people who really want to get into knowing more about rocketry and space exploration. And I was thinking that it's not only rocketry alone that might really spark a lot of the hunger, if you will, into knowing more about space sciences. So I'm thinking of maybe combining rocketry that I'm doing with the actual viewing of space via telescopes. That's why I have the rocket pack idea, where I put a rocket in a small area, and just within that setup, I get some telescopes. So if they look at what's up there in the night sky and they relate it to the rocket, now I think it would maybe start picking up well. So when if someone is really maybe yearning to visit space, or maybe just to get engaged in space travel, they also know in the back of their head that it's only rockets that can do that. So if you bring in the space science stuff and they see it individually, if I'm not wrong, if basically what I'm trying to say is, I think that the interest in rocketry would be more, what can I say? You'll excuse me, I'm getting lost for words here. to actually bring the rocket interest to some peak, you also have to bring to their attention what's up there by engaging them in actually seeing what's out there by themselves through telescopes.
I think that's a brilliant idea, to look at where you want to go and look at how to get there.
Yeah. I'm saying that because here, as much as the interest in rocketry is very low, I'm just trying to take it from the ground. I think it would be better if you also bring to the attention, because I have never seen a single telescope or a telescope outlet here where people can go and peer into the night sky. So I was thinking maybe if I have a telescope or two, and I invite people to look at space, they look at the stars, the planets, they know more about space, they can learn about it from the internet, and we can form groups that discuss, and maybe we invite someone to talk about space, someone who is well-versed in space sciences, to talk to the people around here about space sciences. It could give them much interest, because they know if they really want to explore space, they have to use rockets. And if they look around, there's someone already doing some rocket stuff here who is also willing to learn along with them, and also to engage most space experts and rocket experts to come on board.
No, I think it's great. It's it's about creating that little spark and then trying to turn it into something bigger.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have you seen the movie The Martian?
The Martian? Oh,
yeah,
the
Martian. Yeah.
The one Matt Damon, I think is the
That's right.
main character there. Yeah, I've seen it. Really enjoyed it.
Is that a popular movie in Kenya?
Yeah, it was. It is a popular movie. I don't know about now, but when it was released, there was a lot of people watching it, either in the cinema halls or in their mobile phones or on TV. I myself, I think I watched it more than 20 times.
Wow.
That was back in, was it 2016, 2017? I watched it so many times, including Gravity, including Interstellar, which I still watch up to now.
Well, the author that wrote the book that the movie is based on, Andy Weir.
Can you hear me, Nathan?
I can hear you. But Andy Weir, the person that wrote The Martian, he also wrote another book called Artemis that's about this thing that happens on the moon. And the moon base was actually created by the Kenyan Space Agency in this book.
Say that again, please.
Oh, yeah. So Andy Weir, the author of The Martian, also wrote another book called Artemis that's about this thing that happened on the moon. And in his book, the country that actually builds the moon base is Kenya. There's a Kenya Space Agency that's responsible for actually making that happen. I was just wondering if you read the book Artemis.
No, I've not. I'd be glad to do so. I'll be glad to read the book.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, the idea of having, Kenya Space Agency, if we could get that in people's minds, maybe it can actually happen. Yeah,
it can. Yeah, it can. That's really a fantastic idea. And I wonder when that would really happen in reality.
I think it all depends upon having just a certain people that make it happen, like you.
Yeah, you can count on me.
Kenya versus New Zealand. I feel like both countries are about the same size. Is that right?
Yeah, that's very right.
And then New Zealand, of course, Rocket Labs was created there.
Yeah, Rocket Lab was created there. Just recently, I was looking up about Rocket Lab, headed by, I'm just forgetting the name of this guy.
Peter Beck.
What's his name?
Peter Beck.
Yeah, because initially, when I read about Rocket Lab for the first time, I knew it was based in New Zealand, but right now it's in America. Is that right?
That's
Is
right.
it now
They
based
had
in
a,
America?
I mean, they still have the New Zealand facility, but they're also
Yeah,
selling to the U.S. military. And in
yeah,
order to be able to sell to the U.S. military, they had to become a U.S. country, a U.S. company.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But do you think that maybe you're like the Peter Beck of Kenya? That what you're doing here is gonna lead to something like Rocket Labs from Kenya.
Yeah, 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 I do. I do.
That
Yeah,
would be
but
awesome.
even here, people call me a lot of names. There are negative names, there are positive names. Yeah, I would just mention that my vision actually, things are not really very well established with me personally, because rocket, it takes a lot of finance, it takes a lot of basically finance that buys the facilities, that creates sufficient coordinations with people. But my long-term goal, and I'm giving myself only 10 years to have something working for us here, space-wise. Because as we speak now, Kenya buys a ticket to have their satellites launched, I think from Japan. Last time we had our satellites launched from Japan, and that runs into several billions. I think the last time I checked, it was over 10 billion shillings just to have a simple rocket launch, a very simple satellite here. And I think if you look at it with a simple rocket that is able to put something in space, it does not really go as much as 10 billion Kenya shillings. There's a way we can scale down the price, and probably it's the satellite that might cost more. I think that sounds, I know that sounds weird or ridiculous, but it could be so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the cost of launch is getting cheaper and cheaper, and the way of creating rocket engines and guidance and all that is becoming more widely and
the deployment systems. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I, kind of talking about the moon for a little bit. We talked about Artemis, but when did you find out that NASA was planning to send astronauts back to the moon again for the first time since 1972?
That must have been early last year. Did I hear Trump talk about it? And I looked it up, and I found out that NASA is actually planning to send a man back to the moon. I think it was first scheduled for 2024. Was it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But now it's, yeah. Was it really? It was, I think it was scheduled for 2022, but now it's been rescheduled 2024, 2025.
I don't know about, well, back during the Bush administration, the 3 presidents ago now, there was talk about this constellation program of having a moon base by 2020. But this most recent one, the earliest date was 2024, and that got delayed to 2025. So.
Yes, that's very right. Yeah. So my memory serves me right. I must say it's really a very exciting move there, because this time around it's going to find me as much as it's going to find you around, and I would like to see how that goes. And given the technology that we have now, it's much better than the ones they had in 1960s, but nevertheless they still made it to the moon. But I've been wondering why it's been taking so long, because I remember the moon program started by the time the moon program started and up until the time man landed on the moon was comparatively much shorter than the kind of the deal is not a delay, but if you look at it, the pace at which that program really came from conception to fruition was quite short. So I was imagining maybe now it should be like you want to go to the moon, maybe 3-4 years after that you're on the moon, or much shorter. But it's a really exciting move, especially now, given the kind of advancement man has made towards space travel.
It is, yeah. But yeah, I mean, talking about technology, I think it's going to be kind of amazing. I mean, we could put a lander on the probe before the people land there, and film the entire experience of them landing, and then of them getting out of the ship, and you know, it'd be a lot better. The quality of the video would be better too. But you know, not ever. Oh,
actually,
go ahead.
Let me just take that from you. The quality of the videos they had then is quite very much different from the quality of videos they're going to have now. And I think even then there was some sort of buffering with the transmission, but now I think we're just going to get things as clearly as we get it from live sports. It's really going to be amazing. I can't wait to see that happen.
I think it'll be like you're really there. You know, you'll see it in 3D, 360-degree view. You know.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, be really awesome. What kind of value do you think we should expect to get out of going back to the moon? Is it just something that you see we're doing just to show that we can, or do you see fundamentally it being important to humans' progress?
If I remember, since space exploration started, a lot of things have been made easy down here in terms of communications. And it did not just start, it did not just take off straight to going to the moon or carrying out manned space missions, but it was about satellite launches, and that has really made the communications really much easier down here on the planet. So I think the more that happens, the more positivity we are going to get from space exploration. And as much as with everything that we are enjoying now because of space exploration and space travel, I think there's even going to be more that we have not even imagined yet as per now. So definitely space exploration is very important for our daily life, especially now and in the future. Definitely it's going to be very positive. Now, if you look at, if you imagine it now, I'm talking to you, thanks to all the efforts that have been directed towards space exploration. And now we are having a live one-on-one conversation. So that is just one of the most important things that I would mention.
But not everybody is convinced of the value. Some people are like, you know, we have starving people here on Earth, global climate change. We have people who have a lot of day-to-day needs down here. Why are we spending so much money to send just a few people to the moon when that money could really help in all these other things? How do you think about that?
First of all, if I may start with the fact that even before space exploration, there were always problems. There are problems now. There will always be problems that man will be having to solve. And if I may just say that in the past, maybe 100 years before, or just up until the time man started sending rockets into space, yes, a lot of money is being spent on space exploration, but as much or even much more money is being made as a result of space exploration. So I don't think the problems of this world should really hinder the few that want to go out there. And everything actually boils down to finances. If it can be more of a private entity, if it can be more concentrated on a private capacity, then I think it's going to be much better for those who really want to. I personally, I want to be out there. I want to go out there. If it's not me, maybe friends or whoever goes out there, if half the humanity can go up there, I'd be very glad. But when you come back to the problems and the hunger or kind of the medical problems that are maybe people see should be attended to first before talking about space and the space exploration, those will always be there. They'll be there, they've always been there, and they'll still be there, and they are there now. So I don't think that should be a hindrance at all, because long ago, people spent money on exploration, discovering new worlds. Once there are such problems before, you couldn't have said now, no, let's not go and explore, maybe find new lands, because the amount of money you are spending in exploration should be used back here to help the people who are undergoing problems. I think if that would have been the case, if the explorers would have listened to such talks, then I think the world would have been even in a much terrible state right now. So going out there is definite, because Earth is just a small rock here with water, and there are probably some elements that we might develop while out there, because with space exploration comes a lot of knowledge and discovery. And who knows, we might probably have a way of advancing in many fields, one of them being medical. And I would imagine someone like me would like to be, to find, maybe to be around when people land on Mars, or maybe outside the solar system. And given the amount of time it takes to actually achieve that, we are talking about maybe 100 or 1,000 years. I would like to live for more than 1,000 years, and probably going out there would be able to make me realize that dream. So there's a lot of good things that might come out of space, exploring space.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. When you think about the future of humanity, like 100 years, 200 years, 300 years from now, what does it look like to you?
I can tell you, because if you remember when man now started having the idea of going to the moon, I don't think it took more than 30 years, did it?
I think it took.
It did not take more than.
Well, I don't know when you would consider the start of that idea, but you know, from the time that we launched the first person in space to the time we landed on the moon was 10 years.
Yeah, you see that? And the rate at which scientific advancement is taking place now, I might say 100 years, we might be having well-established settlements on Mars and homesteads like we have here, down here on the planet Earth. And 200 years now, we are talking about maybe having homes on Triton, Uranus moon, is it Neptune? So 200 years is a lot of time given the rate at which scientific advancement is taking place. So I really see man nearly all over the solar system in 100 or 200 years. I know it might sound as a far-fetched or just like a wish, but if you look at the facts and how many determined people to make that happen are coming up, probably 100 years we might be living beyond Mars, or having spaceships just floating out there, looking for better places out there in the solar system to live in.
That would be definitely a very nice future, to have humanity expanding out into the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you would go to space. How far would you go? Would you go to the moon? Would you immigrate to Mars? How far would you consider going if you had the opportunity?
I would be willing to go anywhere. As per now, I would be willing to go the farthest a human being can manage to go. I would be willing to go to the moon. I would be willing to go to Mars. I would be willing to go extra solar system if that's possible. And actually, this might sound weird, but I would be willing to venture out of our galaxy if that's. You get the point, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just how much I'll be willing to go out there.
You just need the starship from Star Trek.
Yeah.
To be able to go between all these.
If you have the warp drive and all that stuff out that the science is looking into, I would be very much willing to go anywhere.
That's awesome. I know we talked about a whole bunch of things. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about, or did you have any questions for me?
Just regarding space exploration, going to the moon, or any questions at all?
Any questions at all?
Well, I don't think so. But if there's any questions, I'll be willing to let you know.
Well, Eugene, I'm really amazed at the the pictures you've posted online and the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
You know, your latest model of the SpaceX Starship and Super Heavy looks awesome. And
thank you very much.
I hope everybody checks it out. I think they would be very impressed with your work.
I'm very sure that will happen.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Eugene, for talking to me for my project. And
it's my pleasure.
It was good connecting with you.
Thank you too. I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work regarding this in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.